So let's talk seaweed harvesting. Good morning all, how are you? You good? So yes, to all the new people here, my name's Alexander and this is Our Green Agenda. And yeah, to all the old subscribers, I apologize for the lack of content. I've been busy, life has been busy. Here's my little boat over here. I've got another boat down the road over here, a new boat, better boat, more stable boat. But I like this boat, I'm attached to this boat. But life has got busy. I've been trying to hone in my skills, kind of perfect my craft. I'm sure everyone can relate, like if you start something new, and the better you are at it, the easier it will be. So why not just focus on that and put all my energy into that, which I did. And I've only been doing seaweed harvesting for a year, but I feel confident enough to film for you guys. And the reason why my nose is blocked up, I have a head cold and there's COVID in the house right now. So there's me walking around. Good thing, I've moaned about that house several times, but I'm quite glad it's spacious now because then I can get away from them two kind of, they're on the mend now, which is good. But see this VT here? The house is looking like a house, which is insane, but we'll do another tour another day. Guinea fowls are laying eggs, chickens are happy, soon to branch out the ducks, but we'll explain all in another vlog. But let's talk today about seaweed harvesting. So seaweed harvesting, honestly, people have been cutting seaweed for yonks, mate, centuries, for a long time, for fertilizer, for feed, and a number of other things. So I cut the weed, company comes and collects the weed, seaweed, and yeah, then they weigh it and then I get paid. Sounds simple, right? But let me go deep. Let us go deep. So in the world, there's about 12,000 types of seaweed. But luckily for us, the company that I work for, I don't really work for, I'm self-employed, but the company who collects my seaweed only wants one type. And that one type is Ascophyllum, this name is a tongue twister in my head. Ascophyllum nodosum. Ascophyllum nodosum, there you go. Sounds like a Harry Potter spell, doesn't it? But it's a lovely weed. Let's have a poke around. This is it down here. Please excuse the shuffly sound. I think you might be able to hear it, but yes, it's the hottest day of the year. It's like 11 degrees today, and yet I'm wearing waders and all sorts. But this is it. This is the weed they like to kind of, this bit's quite dry right now. You can see the big difference between it. This is the dry section, and this is the wet. So its nickname is rockweed. Really heavy in weight. Can grow about 15 centimeters in a year, but I think that all depends on where it kind of, is this cut? This stuff is cut. Don't know where it's come from, but I might just chuck this in the net, but this is the stuff that they want. And this is what it looks like in the water. Please excuse the splashing, but lovely weed. So the new growth is yellow and it starts off brown. The older it is, the blacker it gets. And obviously the drier it gets, the blacker it gets too. And there's another type here, which they do tend to kind of, this one's called Fucus. This one's quite pricey, but it's quite light, so you need a lot of it. So is it sustainable? The answer is yes. So the reason being, or the reason why I say that is because the company I work for, what they do, they come down and they scope the whole island, or they have scoped the whole island pretty much, where the seaweed is, because there's loads of different seaweed harvesters, there's loads of harvesters like based all around the island, but this is my patch, a bit like Ice Cream Men, like they have certain patches and stuff. So funny enough, this is a whole long strip. This is about 5 miles long, but halfway down, maybe not even halfway, but there's another guy cutting seaweed further down there. But this is my patch, and you can't even see all of my patch right now. So yeah, so basically 750 tons is what I'm allocated to cut in this area in 1 year, which I know I won't going to reach, if you know what I mean. That just goes to show how much seaweed is in this area. And once, if say for example my quota was 30 tons and I hit that, I'd have to stop for that year and move to somewhere else, because if I carried on cutting, I wouldn't be able to cut sustainably throughout that time, because it takes up to about 3, 4, 5 years, maybe say 4 to 5 years for this seaweed to get to kind of its length again, for me to kind of get any money back, if that makes sense, or make it profitable for me to cut. Because for example, those bits there are only what, about 2 foot long. Could get some money from it, but you want pieces of seaweed which are about like as tall as me, like 5, 6 foot, if that makes sense. So that's why you wait, and that's why you can stick to your quotas. Otherwise, you'll be scratching around cutting stuff which is not worth your while and putting all that effort for like meager seaweed, and you won't get. Obviously, put it this way: more seaweed, more money. So let's talk about the equipment. Here we have the net. There's many different ways of harvesting seaweed, but I'm using the net today. This is a new way. People have been using this for about 3-4 years, so no one's really an expert right now. So this is a net, but there's another way of how harvesters, there's quite a few ways, but I will show another way up how the traditional harvesters used to kind of collect the seaweed, but this is a newfound way, and I think it's great. I think it will have revolutionized the seaweed kind of harvesting. So good old net, and it's quite heavy. It's about 1 meter deep by about 30 to 30 meters long. And it's pretty heavy. How heavy is this thing? Let me just give it when it's dry, it's about maybe 7 kilos, but when it's wet, I wouldn't say doubled that, but I'd say maybe 10, 12. It's pretty heavy, so it's quite a lump. So, this is a sickle, my trusty sickle. You might be thinking it's blunt right now, because it is. It can cut seaweed though. I've used it kind of several days. It's pretty cut because I've had sharp stuff and it's normally pointy at the end. But as you can see here, I've got, these are waders under here, but I've got like kind of waterproof trousers on top. It's just like extra protection because I've seen so many harvesters like pull when you're cutting seaweed and they poke themselves. And this was by accident, but I think I'm gonna do this in the future. My friend threw the sickle, the tip broke off and it ended up being this. So I'm quite fortunate that I still got it because yeah, I've pulled it several times into myself and it's been like, oh, it's blunt. But there are other people online who use kind of like scalpel looking things. So my next tool is this, which I made myself. It's about 5 foot long and basically kind of, it's got a sickle. This sickle has been bent, but that's just from just wear and tear. Been used it a couple of times. So there's just some rope under here, we'll cover around with electrical tape. But let's see it in action so you can see what I'm talking about. If I want to get a lot of seaweed, so I'm kind of wading and my wire is in the water. I'm not about messing up my camera today. So for example, this seaweed here, I could use a sickle on it, but that involved my arms getting wet, which is not the end of the world. But then what I could do is fish underneath. Let's find an easier bit because so you can get a demonstration. So for example, some bits I can go to are quite deep and the rocks can be really treacherous, so I'd rather just stay in one spot. So I can cut pretty much in all my circumference with this tool if I just pivot around. So for example, say like I wanted to cut this bit, I would have to get wet hands, so I'll just put this right to the bottom of the ground as far as I can go, yank tightly, and then watch the seaweed float up. You see that? And do it to this bit over here. Big old yank, seaweed. Got my boat here now, let's prepare the boat. So the boat's all prepped and ready, just need to put my bags and my glad rags in there. But you can see there's some weights at the end of the nets, but all will be explained in a second. So let's talk wind, not that wind. So we'll talk about Mother Nature's wind, because today it's supposed to be not supposed to be that windy, but it is kind of windy today. That's why I got the dead cat on my chest. But yeah, it's coming strong from the north right now. Is it strong from the north? I think today it's all going all over the place. If you look at the side here, it's changed pretty much every day this week. So hopefully it stays like that. Because for example, what I'm trying to say is that when you're cutting on the north side, with the wind's blowing from the north, you want to cut from the north. Wind's blowing from the south, you want to cut from the south. Reason being is that, say for example, to the south is behind me. So if the wind was blowing this way, I would want to set my net up in front of the seaweed, so then the wind would blow the seaweed into the net once it's cut. So that's why you want the wind on your side, because I've cut on the opposite side before. For example, the wind was blowing strong from the north, I've cut on this side, it's a faff because the weed wants to blow onto the shore back again, and when you're trying to get your boat to tow the seaweed, your boat's blowing into the net, so it just caused havoc. It was a pain in the bum, it was a stress, so you want the wind on your side. There's hardly any wind today, which is lovely, as you can see on the side of the video earlier, but at the same time I still want to have a little bit of nature on my side, so I will cut on the north side. And yeah, because like I said, I could cut anywhere because there's hardly any wind, but I will cut with the wind just to make life easier for myself. So the time right now is 10:24. It's the 1st of June, which is kind of mad, isn't it? Time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, but low tide today is at 2:42 p.m. So we've got just over 4 hours to cut to get where we're going and start cutting and stuff like that. So it's 4 hours to low tide, then another 6 hours for high tide. But I'm not going to wait for high tide, but I'll explain all once we get to the little island. We're cutting today on this little island you see here called Fergus Island. Don't let me pronounce that. I will don't do it no justice. Flipping Scottish people will be shouting at me. So but yeah, so Mrs. can speak Gaelic if you're wondering how I know that says that. So yeah, we're going to the little island. Nice little island. I was there on Monday. Oh, I was sitting there thinking, oh, what's that smell? I was about to eat my digestives. I'm sharing the island with the dead sheep, so luckily we're on the other side, I don't have to deal with it so much today. And a couple of rats. Yeah, the rats eat good here. It's kind of mad. Like I used to think to myself, like, rats just eat scraps. Like, you mean you eat rats in the city, but the rats here, I was thinking there's no way I can get scraps over there. So it's got dead sheep from time to time. It's got all the shellfish. Flipping rats on the keto diet, innit? But back to seaweed. I've blabbed on about rats. But yeah, the more time I spend cutting, the more money I get. That's what I love about this job, because the more you put in, the more you get out. It's a great job like that. I'm sure there's many jobs like that, but this is what I like. Like, more effort I put in, the more money I will get. So that's enough of me blabbing. Let's get to the island and let's get settled. So we have found Fergus Island. This is it behind me right here. I'm going forward, let me go backwards so you can understand. So there's all the seaweed I want to cut. I don't think my net would reach all the way down to the end, unfortunately, which is fine. I can always come back another day. And there's so much junk on the other side. Over there looks like a piano. You know, I've got to put my mind to rest. I'm gonna see if that's a piano quickly. Oh, as you can see, it's not a piano, it's an oil drum. But hey, I can relax now. But anyways, back to the island, which is there. So, I'm going to chuck the net out in a sec. It will make sense why I've got the carpet there too. So let me just get the net prepped. So annoyingly, the sea is blowing me in and I do not want that. So what I need to do is push myself away quickly. Should be low enough here. Is it low enough? Yeah, it is. So I push myself away slightly. You'll have my silhouette. Not good enough. Damn you, wind! That's how powerful the wind is. It's only a slight breeze today, but it's enough to F everything up. So push it away a little bit more, just make sure I don't drop the camera down. That's good enough for me. I can always tuck the weed underneath at low tide. So I'll push it, that's too deep for me now. So what I'll do, I'll chuck this out. So that one, yes it is. Sploosh. And then I'll chuck this net, this rope, sorry, over there. All done. And have this so it's all nice and tidy. And then sorry for the crazy camera work there, it's very difficult with one hand. And then I'll try and get over all this, the balancing act. And the boat's going crazy, right. Just get over here. Might have to push myself away again so I don't get seaweed in the propeller. So I'll push this away. Like it's still on anyway. So push this away like so. Nice and easy. There's still some seaweed there. And now the fun. Now watch this. So pick her in reverse, and then I'm going to reverse all the way down the strip I want to cut. And it should slowly ease itself out. The waves aren't helping me right now. So yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And slowly does it, people. You don't go too fast. And that might get snagged, and so on, like that. It's kind of snagged up a little bit. It's okay, it's not the end of the world. As long as it comes out with the float still on top, then we're all good. But just make sure you don't kind of end up in the seaweed behind you. So slowly put it out. I'll go a bit further out this way. There we do. Oh, we've got loads. Got loads. Keep going back. Good bit of weed here. Slowly going back. Back. There we go. Beautiful work. Will I make it to the end? Fingers crossed. I'll go in a little bit, make it a bit tight like a tiger. It's coming out lovely. Beautiful. And I'll get round it because I left it. You can see where I've cut before, if you can just about see from yesterday. There's a few little bedraggled bits, but nothing to cry about. There we go, almost at the end. Make sure I got rocks. Is this good enough? Yep, so now I'll slow down now. I want to be able to chuck this in. So this is what we have to do. So we just climb over this again. So we've got another weight on this end. Sploosh. Chuck that in. And that's going to go at the bottom. And then I make sure this rope that is attached to this, where is it? Here it is going to end up on the land, on the rocks, which is up there. So, there we go. And that is our next set. both sides of the rope net secured, boat secured. So let's talk about this section. So you can see I'm going to cut within the net, which is great. But then if you look over here, you can see this is why I cut on Monday. And it'll be silly for me to come back just for this section, to spend like a whole day on this bit just to cut this. So what I'm gonna have to do is use the traditional way and how they used to kind of collect seaweed. But I'll explain on, if you stick around, you'll get to see that. So I'm gonna have to extend the rope somehow because I don't have another net. But I will bag this today just to make extra pennies in my pocket. So whilst I'm gonna crack on here and work on my tan and get wet and splashy and stuff, I'm gonna leave you guys with a video of me cutting. I used 3 nets. You see there's only 1 net here. I had 3 nets. It was quite a difficult patch. I had pallets involved as well. It's kind of a funny one. I just tried to kind of, I feel like when you push yourself and do a big bit, then when it comes to doing this is going to be a walk in the park for me. So I mean, I had 3 nets one day to do it, and then now I've got 1 net. It's going to be like, so then it makes life easier. That's how I like to carry on. Does that make sense to you? So I'm sure it can make sense to some people. So anyways, enjoy that little bit of ET here, and I'm going to crack on and we'll be back. And what we're going to do is explore the island and yeah, have some fun. Also, I forgot to mention that I will reveal at the end how much tonnage was in that net that I cut with the 3 nets. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed that. So yeah, it was that was a long day. That was a very long day. Tiring. I've slept well that night, put it that way. So the difference between today and that day is that I'll be towing it, because I made a mistake that time doing it. You learn, you live and learn. I left the ball there, and I was going to tie it up to a rock to stop it from the blowing from that way with the south wind, and ended up swinging round onto rocks. I had to fork it off and then pull it, and the next day was really windy from the west. It was a faff, but I managed to get the ball in. And it weighed, like I said, I'll tell you at the end, but let me just talk about this little area right now. So I've cut all in here. The time now is almost 3:10, so it's half an hour past high tide. You shouldn't see much of a difference right now, but cut all down here. That was a great effort, I tell you. All thanks to Lucozade. I'm not one to drink caffeine or have caffeine because I'll explode, but it's just every so often I will take it just to help spur me on, if you know what I mean. So I've still got half a bottle left, so I'm saving that for the last hurdle. But let me show you what I've done down there just to stop the seaweed, because right now, like I said, the net stops here, so I've just extended the net pretty much all the way to that rock. So let me just show you. Also, the wind has changed, so if I face this way, you might be able to just about hear the wind. So the wind should blow the seaweed off this rock into here. Can you see how calm it was on this side compared to that side? That's where the wind's coming from. So look, I've just sorry, it's very slippery here. I've just cut seaweed around the rope, all the way. The rope's disguised, you can't be able to see it. I've left a little tail just on certain bits so it's easier to kind of dismantle. There you go. There's a little, I almost fell down again, little tail there, and it goes all the way around. So in time, when this rises up, this should rise too, and then the seaweed will hang in it, and in time I should drag it round, because that rock there if you can see, let's go up to that rock. This rock here will be the problem. So basically I got to swing the rope all the way around this rock because you can see it's partially submerged, as in it does get submerged at a high tide, but you know when rocks haven't been submerged when you see the lichen on it. But if you see just the fucus knocking about, fucus tend to like the kind of the highest tides for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know seaweed that well. All I know is that you can eat most of it. But yeah, so when you see this fucus, you know that's the highest of high tides, and it does seem to get to here. So I want to get the seaweed around here, and it'll make it a lot easier for me to ball in it when it comes to this section here. So that is my plan. The sun decided to show its face for like 2 seconds. It'll come back again. Look at that. Look how still it is. Look at that. You can see your face in the water. Lovely. This is the best office you could ever have. And if you look over there, you should be able just about to see that little green roof. That is a house being built. But let me explain the tides. There's 2 tides in a day. So 2 high tides, 2 low tides, that's what I meant to say. And if you look all the way down there, that's the mouth, that's the North Atlantic out there, that's where the tide comes in. So right now the tide is coming in, and I want to get this balled up and ready to go, which is there's 2 landing strips. There's one landing strip down there where I can take the seaweed, or another one down there, and I prefer the one down there. I'm kind of slap banging between them right now. The reason why I'm not a fan of this one, I've towed there once, but when there's northerly winds, it tends to blow the ball back onto the rocks, and it can be a pain in the bum to get it off and take it. Basically, it's double handling. I don't really want to have to do that. So what I'm going to do now is tow it all the way down here, because that landing strip down there is nice and snug and secure. It's like a little bay, and it's kind of like a little peninsula kind of thing hanging in there, and the ball would just sit tightly in here. So, like I was saying, I want to get this balled up an hour before high tide. And the reason why I want to do that is because right now, the sea is coming in, and the current's dragging it all the way down this way. So if I get it an hour before high tide, ball it up, so when I'm towing down that way, it'll be a less effort for me and less strain, because the tide will want to take the ball this way and the boat. Instead, if I waited for high tide and then started taking it, the water will be going that way and be more of a faff. You catch my drift? So that's why. And the reason why we get tides too is because of the moon. It's got a thing called, what is it, a gravitational tidal force or something? It's gravitational pull. So you get the biggest tide at the full moon and no moon, which I'm no moon expert, but that's basically kind of the gist of it. I've noticed basically when I've studied the kind of the tides, because there's 2 tides, by the way. There's spring tide and then there's neap tide. For example, with the spring tide, you get the highest highs and the lowest lows. So it basically on the chart it looks like that, whereas a neap tide kind of just looks like that. So everything's not really that much variation. So right now it's a spring tide, so I can get basically it's not the lowest it can go. The highest it gets here, every year varies. The highest it can get in Loch Port is 5.2, and the lowest is 0.2 meters. So that's just so you can understand. So today it's not really high. The highest here is 4.33, and I think the lowest is in the 1 meter something. But I've got all the seaweed down here. If you look, we turn you around. I've pretty much got all the seaweed because this is a nice spot. There might be some areas where there might be still seaweed submerged, basically, but I'm pretty good here. There's like a little bit down there. There's a lot of kelp, which they don't want kelp. And a little bit of spaghetti weed. That weed is a pain in the bum. But yeah. But anyways, I'm blabbing. That's enough of me blabbing. I'm a bit more Lucozade now. A bit more flapjack, homemade flapjack. And I'm going to crack on. I'm going to cut all this. And then we're going to have a little explore of Fergus Island here. So please excuse the darkness. So I forgot to mention earlier, but that way of me wrapping the seaweed around the rope is the oldest traditional way. And some people still use that way because obviously that's all they know. So, but I just feel like there's more I don't know, it's more reliable having the nets put it that way, because sometimes the seaweed can get unstuck and then you're just going to pee out flipping seaweed as you tow the ball along. And I've seen it happen before and it's not fun. So you just lose your seaweed. So, and with this is a bit, the nets is a bit more versatile. So I've just stopped just now as well because midges are about. It's the 1st of June. I noticed him the other day, but I thought, oh, it'd be fine. But today I just can't hack it. I seem to stop. Since I moved up here, there's a bit more wind. But when I'm down there, oh my God, I'm here just flipping, flaying around like some crazy person. Also, look, let's see if we can see. There's a seal just splooshed about a good 5 meters away from me. Then popped his or her head up over here to have a look at me and then buggered off. But it's lovely waters here. It's one of the most fertile seas or parts of Uist is Loch Port and Loch Orbissory, which is over there. But there's lots and lots of it's weird. I'm surprised there's not many fishing boats here. I think there's only a couple of people who fish down here. Well, 3 including myself, because I've got some creels down there, but we'll talk about that another day. But yeah, I've seen dolphins in here since being here, and rumour has it, about 10 years ago, there was like an orca that got caught up in here, and just, I think it might have followed the mackerel down, because it's a nice little space. Oh, there's the seal over there. Not sure you can see. Just popped its head over. But they're quite curious, they're quite sweet animals. I've seen one just kind of, if I had a tennis ball, I'm sure if I throw it in, it must bring it back to me. But funny animal, seals. Don't really know much about them, but they like to sploosh around here. So if they're about, then obviously the food must be good. I forgot I had this. If you wonder what this is a midge net. Ah, it's a godsend. The midges are getting a bit crazy right now. I'm not a fan of anything blood sucking. So if you can see me, so it's quite dark. You can see my teeth there, innit? Look, hey. So yeah, I should keep them at bay for a little bit. But I'm done. I've cut everything. Oh, I went a bit crazy at the last minute, but I'm gonna keep my eye on it over there because I'm a bit worried about it kind of spilling out. But if I lose a little bit, it will lose a little bit. But let's explore the island right now. Good old Fergus Island. So, I'm not sure the best way to go up, but I'm just gonna go around here because it's a bit too steep for me. But the first thing I will point out is that it's treeless, but there's a lot of these little yellow flowers. And if you wonder what they are, they're called bird's foot trefoil, or the common name is eggs and bacon. Very, very good for pollinators. Bees, bumblebees, you name it. A very, very good plant. Not too clued up, a bit of fennel down here, not too clued up with the rest of the kind of, what was this? Tiny little buttercup just down here. So I'm going to talk about everything here. A lot of moss, as you may have guessed. It's very treacherous. It's a lot of hard work, this. Very good on the glutes, just jumping around on rocks all day. Feel like a goat. Pardon me. Hey, can I get up here? Yeah. I see the sheep have been here. Hey. It's not exactly an island, because when this tide goes out, yeah, and the geese, here, and the poor crab, I think the crab got brought up for food, but yeah, when the tide goes out, or when the tide's out, you can just clamber across on the rocks and come to this place. But yeah, it's kind of bumpy. Yeah, it's kind of funny, these. I feel like I should come here and plant some trees, but you can see that the geese like to jam here. This is most of their poos here. No rabbits. They're rabbits. I think this is due to rats. Bit of sheep. But yeah, over here is where that dead sheep was, or is. There it is, poor thing. That fell down and just collapsed or something. But yeah, but one day, when I've got the energy, I'm going to gather up about 3 nets again and wait for like a southeasterly and put all the nets around this section just here and attach them to these rocks down here, and then just attack that, because that's a big old chunk net. I couldn't tell you how many tons that is, but it's a lot, and I'll be knackered after doing that one. But I'm happy. I'm kind of being strategic in how I'm doing it, because I don't lose where my spots are. So on the north side, I've started here, and I'm going to start, if I need to do anything more from the north, I'll just keep going on from down here, basically. So that's enough blabbing. What I'm going to do is tidy up. I'm going to put the waders back on right now, and yeah, I'm going to do my best to kind of, I'm going to fork some of the weed that I've cut, because I know it's on the other side of the rope, and hopefully it blows that way and ends up in that net, so then I can make it easier for myself, because what, I've got how many hours left? What's the time now? Sorry for the jigglies. It is 5:25, and by about 7:45, ideally, I would like to have this board, like I've just said before. So if I can get out sooner than that, it'd be a great thing. But it all depends on the boat too. It needs to be floating, but it's arse in the water right now, which is good. So yeah, let me just tidy up, and then we can start balling up and making it, kind of doing the finishing touches. So finally, balled. Oh, it was a pain in the arse, this. Flipping, some of the weeds started to float away, hence why there's seaweed in the boat. The thing is, it should weight it down, which is a good thing. Sun's decided to shine as well, so it's going to blind me. But what I'm going to do now, and I missed it, I wish I brought my camera, but there was a seal dicking about. And what they like to do is kind of come underneath and see if there's any kind of invertebrates, what I'm trying to talk about, just like life in there that they can take, like basically free scraps, free food. So what I'm doing now is trying to slowly turn the ball around to face me. But have a look. There's literally no wind today, right now when I'm towing anyway. The rope's long enough, because what can happen is this jet stream will come out and slow the ball down. It's okay to have a short net when there's lots of kind of like buoys and boats and stuff in the way, but right now in the big open ocean, this Minch, you can get a nice clear view of the mouth of the sea now. But I'm heading towards the rocks right now. What I like to do is like a zigzag motion. I've noticed that you can't really do a straight line in the sea, I found. So what I'm going to do is just zigzag. And left is right and right is left. with this, which gets quite confusing. So I'm not really turning right now, which is annoying. I'm trying to turn left. I think I might need to adjust my bridle. This is great though. This is how I'm towing, with these eyelets here, basically. And what I used to do is tow from the front, which is reversing, which is not the best for the engine, and it's a bit of a pain in the bum. So I was going to bring the drone out, but this is kind of difficult to film and keep an eye on this without anything happening to it. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Right, the time now is way past high tide. It's about 10 minutes past high tide. So I'm kind of, hey, there's 2 seals over there. Can you see them? See them dicking about. But yeah, it's basically, I'm going against the tide, so it's taking me forever to get past this house, and that's what's stressing me right now. Is basically I'm going against the current, because what I tend to do is look at the houses and see how quick I'm moving past. And right now I'm not moving that much at all, and I haven't got that much fuel left. So what I might do is park this up, check which way the wind's blowing, park this up, and then I will come back in the morning and then tow it from there, because it's getting there though. Look, you see, I've passed the house, but I'm just stressed about the current right now. But it's all intact, I haven't lost any yet, which is good. It's a good ball, because like normally it sags to the back, but it's just filled that right up, so I'm happy. That's just one big nice tasty ball. I'd say about maybe six, maybe 5, but between 4 and 6 tons. So I'm back. Embarrassingly, I ran out of fuel. So lovely neighbours here. That's the good thing about working on this road. Everyone can see you. And yeah, so what I was going to do is going to just take the boat or the ball and then tie it up to there, because the wind's coming from the southeast, so it would just blow it towards us, and I can collect it in the morning. But these nice gentlemen here are going to take the ball for me in around, and they're giving me some fuel so I can just catch up and follow them. So that's the plan for now. But lesson learned: if you need fuel, fuel up, because there's no. If it was a windy day, I could have been blown to flipping God knows where, but because it's nice and still, I've just sat here. I'm still just sitting here. So, but yeah, good thing for neighbours. So I'm fueled up again, but these kind gents are still towing the ball. Still intact. Well, I'll sleep well tonight. I won't have enough time to kind of maybe watch the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things, eat some food and go to bed. But we just got to take it to those houses just over there, which is good. And the sun is looking fantastic. So there you have it. This was from Monday, and this is the ball from today. So I don't know that much, but they've got a nice chunky, thick with a double C side. I don't know where this old seaweed has come from. This is cut, all of this. So midges again. I'm just going to put my net on. But yeah, that was a faff. A bit longer than expected. But hey, what a day though, what a day. And look, lovely bit of sunset. Check this out. Lovely, and there was some seals dicking about again. Keep talking about seals. I love them. I quite like them. They're like kind of funny looking dogs, aren't they? So, but yeah. So I'm going to go home now. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for some future action. And I learned a valuable lesson today. Always have fuel. Enough fuel in your engine when it comes to a boat, because yeah, that was annoying. But it's nice those guys came to help out, and it was nice to chat to them and stuff like that and catch up. But yeah, it was nice, and they want to cut seaweed too one day, because they enjoy being out on the sea and having fun, because they've got office jobs and stuff like that. So anyways, peace and hugs from me, and remember, it's not just my agenda, it's yours too. And I hope you learned something today, and not sure what's next, but yeah, I just enjoy seaweed right now and seaweed harvesting, so I thought I'd just show off what I do right now. But anyways, have a good one, and I hope to see you soon.